They're up, they're down, they're over, and they're out. But the big question for Philadelphia and New Jersey football fans is why? Eagles, why? Hi, everybody. I'm Dave Bontempo. Welcome to Why Eagles Why, your weekly blood pressure pill for the Philadelphia Eagles. They raise expectations and they squash them. I'm happy to be joined by Bill Gelman and Pete Amato, who will tee off on that and other Eagles issues. We break our show up into 4 quarters, so please hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to be notified for our next video, hit that notification bell. As we break the huddle, do you guys have anything you'd like to get off your chest? Hey, Pete, we'll start with you.
Yeah. Why do we continue to let our Philadelphia sports teams fool us into thinking there's something they're not? It's like a Jekyll and Hyde situation with this team, even after 2 weeks. And what is this team? Nobody really knows what it is. Jalen Hurts played like a totally different quarterback in week 1. Sirianni coached like a different coach in week 1. The defensive line played totally different. The secondary, I was like seeing 2 different teams on the field. So my frustration lies with what team are we getting in week 3, week 4, week 5? Do we really know?
Bill, go ahead. Unleash.
I don't know if you guys can see this number. I just wrote this number down on a piece of paper. Number 3, not a player. We're not talking about a player here. We're talking about 3 first half points. How in the world, the Eagles, did you dominate the first half offensively, come away with just 3 points? How, Eagles? I'm changing the show this week from why Eagles why to how Eagles how. How did the Eagles go on a 90-yard beautiful pass play to Quez Watkins, get all the way down to the 1-yard line, and come away with 0 points? 0.
I don't know if I don't know the stats to that, but I heard the announcers were talking about, they don't know if that's ever happened before, like a 90 play leading to 0 points. I would have to.
I talked about that on Play NJ. A couple stories for Bill. I totally agree. It's not possible to get a 91-yard pass with no points and then get first and goal at the 1. Now, I'm going to toss this out to both of you about the play calling, because how do you go 91 yards, no score? I don't think it's ever happened in the NFL. I know what I was thinking going through and watching that play calling first and goal at the 1. What was going through your guys' minds when you saw the Eagles first and goal at the 1 and getting nada?
I clearly thought they were overthinking it. And I thought it's a fact. How do you come away with 0 points? I mean, just stack the line, go over the top, cross the goal line. You know, you don't even have to go all the way in the end zone. Why are you bringing in Greg Ward to throw a touchdown pass? 1 yard. This isn't the Philly special. They did that in the Super Bowl. You know, it's not going to happen again.
Yeah, and we keep hearing about. I keep seeing this video of Jalen Hurts squatting 600 pounds. Just give him the ball. He's a big dude. He can walk into the end zone at that point.
Yeah, and you know, where's the big back? Where's the big blocking? You never see teams like the Kansas City Chiefs or the Pittsburgh Steelers have had some trouble, but the good teams always get it in first and goal from the 1. It's a joke sometimes and that's something that bad teams don't overcome. We see the problem with the Jets and we saw it with the Eagles. That's a big one, first and goal at the 1. To me, that's when the game changed forever. I don't know how you guys saw that.
Yeah, I agree. And we don't see any eye form anymore. We don't see fullbacks like John Ritchie, right? I mean, clearing. I mean, why don't we see it? It simplifies the game. It makes things easier for the running backs, makes things easier for the quarterback, and it works. I don't know.
Bill, you put up the number 3. We give you the last word on this segment.
What makes matters worse? Getting back to that 91-yard pass play. You know how many times the Eagles completed a pass to wide receiver for the rest of the game after that pass was completed? 0. What happened to the wide receivers the rest of that game? How do you go essentially 2+ quarters without completing a pass to a wide receiver. They deserve to lose this game. And I'm a diehard Eagles fan, so it's painful to say that, but they did everything they could to shoot themselves in the foot this week.
That game was in their pocket, and now it's a loss, and they are 1-1. All right, so that's the end of the first quarter. Let's start segment 2. We start the second quarter of Why Eagles Why. Dave Bontempo, Bill Gelman, and Pete Amato with you. Let's talk about the vibes of the game, Eagles and Dallas. Well, the early vibe is Dallas -4, -3.5 at FanDuel. But there's some other line you want to talk about, Pete. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think the big key to this game right here is the Eagles offensive line. If they can keep doing what they're doing, I think that's kind of the chink in the armor of the Cowboys. Their defense has improved this year. I think if the offensive line can kind of hold their own, I think it all comes down to the run game on both sides. I think whoever wins the run game of this game is going to win the game. So I think it all comes down
that's a good point. Both teams were effective running the ball last week in their games. And Bill, we saw Dallas use most of their draft picks to take defensive players. They were horrible defensively last year. And there's something different about this team this year. They had an end zone interception that preserved the tie. Their defense kept them in their game and probably won the game for them against the Chargers.
Yes, and for the season, I mean, they're currently leading the NFL with a +4 turnover differential. So here you have an Eagles team coming to Dallas, playing on Monday night in a game where neither of these teams should need extra motivation to come ready to play. But you cannot make mistakes, what that number is telling you, because Dallas will make you pay for it. Eagles made way too many mistakes last week against the 49ers. If they do that again, they're going to get blown off the field this week.
I'm going to introduce a topic here about the scheduling, because this game occurs here in week 3, and then it's back-ended for all these division games from Thanksgiving weekend on. So what about the significance, Pete, of this rare division battle this early in the year?
Yeah, it's a little intriguing. I mean, it's exciting for fans. I'm not sure the players feel the same way, to be honest, because usually, like Bill said, they don't need any extra motivation for these games. They come in and they really battle in these games, and I'm not sure they really know their identity yet for both teams. But I think it is a division game. They always battle these games out in the trenches, and I think it's going to be a close-scoring game. I think it's going to come down to the end of the game.
Final word on this segment for you, Bill, about your vibes and what you see in this game.
I mean, it really comes down to which of these teams comes ready to play and actually plays. Cowboys have a lot of weapons, and Dak, he showed you what he can really do against Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You didn't know what he was going to be like this season coming off that severe ankle injury. He matched Brady pass for pass. Last week was a little more of a defensive battle. And then you have an Eagles team, which we've already touched on, the fact that we essentially saw 2 different versions of the Eagles so far this season. So which version of the Eagles is going to show up this week? They can't have the version that could not complete a pass to wide receivers, because then Dallas can just shut down the run game and you're not going to see many points.
What about the history of these teams? We'll take a look at that in the second half of our show. Welcome back to Why Eagles Why. Dave Bontempo, Bill Gelman, and Pete Amato with you. The third quarter, favorite moments in the Eagles-Cowboys rivalry. No cheating, no Carson Wentz, Ben DiNucci, but we're going to give our favorites in this rivalry. Is it the Bounty Bowl, the Pork Chop Bowl, other games? Let's find out. Pete, let's start with you.
Well, mine is I was fortunately enough to be at the game. It was in October 2006, a year after the ugly T.O. Philadelphia Eagles breakup. The Philadelphia Eagles were winning 31-24, but Bledsoe was actually driving down. It was second and goal on the six-yard line, and he tried to fit a pass in to Jason Witten, and good old Lito jumped in front of it and scored a 102-yard pick six to put the game out of reach. The clock read 0. The game was over, and the Cowboys ran home with their tail in between their legs. More importantly, T.O. and Big Bad Bill Parcells send them home crying. So that was an awesome memory for me. I was at the game. The stadium was absolutely insane. And I'll always remember that one.
It just seems like those moments never happen for you. And then when you're at the game, it's even a bigger bonus. The Brian Westbrook game, because in the 2007 game, he goes and he kneels down at the 1 yard line to clinch a victory when the Eagles were up just a little bit. He could have went in, but he decided to kneel down, and then they went to victory formation, and that launched that era in professional football. That had not been done on any type of a wide scale, but he did that. Brian Westbrook did that for the Eagles, launching a new era in the NFL. That is my favorite part of this rivalry because of its impact on football. And how about you, Bill?
This one's not, I don't know if I put it in one of the best moments, but it's a game I can never forget because I was actually there. My wife and I were dating at the time, and we were at the Eagles-Cowboys game. We had really good seats. Unfortunately, it ended up being the final game in the career of Michael Irvin, who's one of the all-time greats, a Hall of Fame wide receiver for the Cowboys. As much as I hate the Cowboys, you can't help respecting what he did. But it was also the game he got severely injured. And the Eagles were down big in that game. So we decided, because the Eagles were stinking up the joint, we just leave the game early. You know what? They're not going to win this game, right? Turns out I put the game on the radio so we could beat the traffic home. Eagles scored 13 unanswered points in that game. I pretty much missed the entire game because I decided to leave early.
Hey, it was probably good for your blood pressure.
Probably.
All right, great moments in this rivalry, and we'll take a look at more in the fourth quarter. Fourth quarter, why? Eagles, why? Dave Bontempo, Bill Gelman, and Pete Amato with you. Around the NFL, what games do we like? I like the Rams and Bucks this week. A great game to watch, a very tight line. You've got two teams that are playing very well. The Rams look reborn. The Bucks are the Super Bowl champions who have not missed a beat. Pete, what game are you looking at?
I actually like the Packers against the 49ers. It's two big offenses going head-to-head. Aaron Rodgers came out in Aaron Rodgers-like form last week. He showed everybody what he really is. He's the MVP. And I like this game. The 49ers are actually a 3.5-point favorite because they're home. So I like the line. I like taking the Packers and the points on this game.
All right, Bill, do you think there'll be a couch somewhere for people who need to speak to a shrink with the game you like, the Giants and the Falcons? You talk about heartbreak so far for these teams.
Right. And it's not a game I'm excited about, but I was just looking at the rundown for this week. I just couldn't help notice that there's two 0-2 teams playing each other. Giants, the only team in the NFC East who've yet to win a game. They're at home. They're a 3-point favorite. Giants, wake up. This is your week to shine. It's not going to be an exciting game. There's probably going to be a lot of mistakes. But I think the Giants win this game by more than a field goal.
Somebody's O has got to go. You hope. That's our look around the league. A quick overtime segment comes next. It's overtime on Why Eagles Why. Dave Bontempo, Pete Amato, and Bill Gelman with you. Our final thoughts. Will the Eagles be 1-2 going into our show next week, or 2-1? Go ahead, Pete, weigh in.
Well, after two awful predictions the previous weeks, hopefully this one is hopefully I'm wrong on this one as well. I think the Cowboys are actually a 4-point favorite. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think overall the Cowboys are going to win, but I don't think they're going to cover that 4 points. So I would feel comfortable taking the 4 points and the Eagles. I don't think they're going to cover.
Okay, Bill.
Pains me to say this because I refuse to say I'm picking Dallas, but I'm doing it. I just don't see the Eagles being ready for a Dallas team in Dallas. The Dallas defense has looked really strong, and coming off last week's performance, I just don't know if the Eagles offense is going to be ready to click on a Monday night game in Dallas. I can see Dallas winning this game by a touchdown to 10 points. Again, I hope I go 0-3 with my predictions because it pains me to pick Dallas, but I'm going with the Dallas win.
Agreed there. It
Well,
does.
nobody in this group believes the Eagles will be 2-1 next week. But one thing we have learned is that it's very difficult to predict what will happen with this team because we wake up the next day after it's over and say, why, Eagles, why? Thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll hit you next week.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.